Jackson gave me the news of a planet far away. And Colonel O'Neill will assemble a team that will try to save the day. Dr. Sam has a master plan and a science attitude. And the job for Teal, he's part of the deal with his trusty Goa'uld. It's just a regular day at Stargate Command, and it might be hard to understand.
SG-1 encoded. SG-2 encoded. SG-3 encoded. SG-4 encoded. Oh god, this is gonna happen. SG-5 encoded. SG-6 encoded. SG-7 locked. We have a stable world.
Welcome back, everyone. We're here again to talk about. Is this a season 4 banger? Can we consider this a banger?
I think it's a mini banger, if you
mini
will.
bang.
A mini bang.
Okay.
A mini bang. Okay.
Is it a curtain bang like my hair these days? I don't know.
I was thinking of a different bang. That's
Of course you
okay.
would.
Oh yeah.
Nasty.
Oh yeah. You got. I mean, the both were implied for me. So
Okay, good.
I think it is. I think it is just because it's a solid, standalone episode with, an ethical dilemma. You could go either way with it.
Yeah.
We'll see whose hot take is hotter than anybody else's.
Then the flame throwing ship Roomba. Hotter than the flames from the giant flying Roomba.
The flag. When I made the thumbnail for the episode, I considered putting a cat on top of it.
Oh my god. Wow.
Maybe we'll have to replace it after we finish the
I think we
episode. Maybe
should.
I'll replace it and put like
let
a
us know in
picture
the
of
comments.
it with like a cat on
Cats.
top. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cats and
love
Roombas,
it.
man. I mean,
It's
come
a
on.
thing. Yeah, it's a thing.
So before we get into our ethical dilemma episode of the day, let's jump in the fry box.
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Short, cause we're 3 fry short.
These days, speaking of cats, I think the fry boxes are just me. Because I really do need to make the companion burger thing for the
Yeah.
fry box.
Yeah.
Bec-
Yes,
Just
please.
there's just so much going on at the companion, and thankfully Sarah and Christina are willing to let me talk about it over here too. Always very supportive of everything we're doing. So
Of course.
appreciated. So if you are under a rock and listen to us but don't know what's going on at the companion, we have 2 really exciting projects. One is actively on Kickstarter right now, and I just made a banner for it. So we are making these really, really cute enamel pins that are functional for your mental health. Let's see. I should have one around me somewhere, and I don't. But yeah, it's exciting. We've got new designs being designed this week, literally. So if you haven't gone over to mentalhealthpens.com to the Kickstarter and backed the Kickstarter, please head on over there and do it. There's some exciting things and some pretty higher level things too. Why is everybody looking at me weird?
Sorry.
No,
Why is everybody looking at me weird?
No, sorry. In my I think it's my Wi-Fi is like super choppy. So I
You're
was trying to,
choppy.
like,
But I was like, am I choppy? Is anybody even hearing me
No.
right now? Am I doing
Yeah.
this whole spiel and like nobody's here to listen?
We heard you.
no.
And then
No.
and on top of that, like Christina's got the phone and Sarah's like,
See, someone's making biscuits on me, and I need to cut their nails into stubblies so they can't
was
get
like,
me.
I was like, what is happening right now? What am I saying? That's
Nothing.
so
I'm
wrong.
Nothing. I'm gonna try to like troubleshoot my Wi-Fi while you were talking, but obviously my face was giving it away.
Both of your faces at the same time were just a perfect storm of like, I guess I'm
Oh,
saying
no.
something horrible. Like,
No.
mental health pins for your health,
I am
bitches.
excited to see what designs are coming out. I think it's a good way to keep people engaged to be like, what's next?
Yeah. Yeah. We've got some tool ones, like things that you can actually use to help you.
Mhm.
And then we have some more cute characters coming out, which is also super exciting.
Yeah.
We just literally just changed, since nobody understood Sammy the astronaut, we literally changed it to Amanda.
Ah!
So it's Amanda. It's the pin is officially Amanda, the free gift one now.
Yay.
With her permission. She thought it was adorable.
Yeah.
So,
Cool.
yeah, and so there's that one, and then the one that we've been talking about even longer, AmandaTappingBook.org. We are doing a mental health crowdsourced book with Amanda Tapping, featuring stories and letters and art and all sorts of things from all of you out there that want to submit to it. So if you go to AmandaTappingBook.org, you can submit. We currently have 3 prompts. I will be releasing a 4th prompt, I think, at the end of this week. We've got to hit at least one a week because we have a lot of them. But they alternate between long answer and short answer. So if you're not much of a writer, you still can contribute in other ways, because we'll have like word clouds and interesting design elements all through the book as well. And you can pre-order it right now too. We are seeing some pre-orders come in. So
Yay.
if you do pre-order the book, just know that buying a physical copy helps us directly be able to give the ebook away for free to anybody who could use that help and that information. So thank you in advance for that. And so those are my 2 big companion things. I will be at DragonCon. We'll be at SpaceCon in San Antonio. May or may not have a panel with Terrell. I have gotten at least one response back, so I'm trying to push it and make it happen, because that would be fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. That's the companion goings on.
Do you want to say what the prompts are to like refresh
Oh,
everyone's
sure.
memory?
So the first one is, well, let's keep the ticker up while we're going. I love the ticker. So the first one is very generic. It was just like, how has fandom changed, affected your life, mental health? Just very broad. We hit it the broad one first.
Mhm.
The second one is to describe yourself in 10 separate words. So not a 10 word sentence, but 10 separate words. And then the one that we just released on Friday is a doozy, I think. I think we all think it is, because it's challenging you to write a letter of forgiveness to somebody that has wronged you, and that can include yourself. It's very important. If you need to write a letter, if you need to forgive yourself for something, a lot of us, I think, do. You can use that, but we wanted to release that one early enough because I think a lot of people will have to think about it for a while.
Yeah.
And there's been some pretty visceral reactions to that question, interestingly, in comments and everything. Some people are like, I could never do that, or like, that's too hard. So it's just really interesting to see it. How strong the reactions are to that question.
Yeah.
Proves that it is a doozy, and it's an important thing to think about. I think I
Yeah.
told somebody over the weekend, you can write a letter of forgiveness and decide not even to submit it to the book. You can, obviously you don't have to send it to whoever you're forgiving. You can change all the names, whatever you need to do. But if the exercise itself actually helps you,
Yeah.
then that's good. And the exercise is not to give somebody else the like, oh, you're free, you're all
It's for
clear.
you.
It's not your fault. It's for you to do. Yeah.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're taking the power away from them. They're not living rent free in your head anymore, basically. That's the power of it, basically. So
Yeah.
those are the prompts. I think I'll have another short answer one coming out sometime this week.
So here's a question, and I don't know if I just like missed this memo, but is Amanda she's going to start each chapter with her answer to every question, right? So she is going to answer all of them.
She is going to answer every question or every chapter. So
Prompts,
there could be some questions that kind of belong together in the same chapter.
Mhm.
So she will be the kind of the framework of each chapter itself.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's like,
Cool.
she has mentioned in meetings, like she's excited about it, but she's very, it's always nerve-wracking to put yourself out there, and
100%.
especially in such a public way, and like everybody knows I can write something, you can write something, people don't know who we are, but
Like, who gives a fuck about this?
right, but like people know who Amanda is, and I think
Correct.
I think I mean, she's kind of hinted at it before that she'll probably talk about some things that she's never talked about, like to people
Yeah.
or in public, really. So I think, it makes me want to do something to contribute. It makes,
Yeah.
other people want to contribute, so we can all kind of go through this healing process together, like in
Yeah.
the form of this book. Yeah. It's pretty profound and it's pretty powerful when you think about it that way.
Yeah. I totally,
Absolutely.
yeah. We'll wait for Christina to get back. So let's just like continue to
Freeball it. Let's freeball it.
drag
Christina's
this
got
out,
internet. She is up in the mountains.
beat a dead horse. I don't know.
What other dead horse can we beat?
I love dragging out a dead horse and beating it.
Anybody in there? We can ask. We can ask if you got any questions in the comments while we're sitting
Yeah.
around. Let's see. What are we at? We're at 11 minutes in case I do decide to edit this out, but probably not. We're probably just gonna let it roll. Let it ride.
Let it roll.
There she is. We're gonna see if it. We're gonna see. You're gonna see.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Doing great.
You're looking a little blurry as the HD on your camera selected.
You know what? Maybe keep it off. Maybe just let it ride.
But I'm not lagging.
Right. That's what I
there you
said,
go.
like,
Yeah, no. We're good. I changed cameras. I changed devices. I am on
Okay.
a different
perfect.
laptop.
Cool.
So that was it was a fast tech change for me. So just tell you.
I will take the standard definition over the laggy higher definition any day of the week.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is it actually says it's on the high definition.
It is now. Yeah. It snaps. Like before you were very blurry and
It just had to get warmed up.
yeah.
Yeah. It was like, whoa, that was a lot.
All right, well,
just go. So sorry.
that was your
everyone.
5-second chance out there in the comments to ask us to AMA anything. And Christina's back, so you've missed your chance.
Well, I
now.
mean, you can keep going because I wanted to get the notes pulled up on here. So if you guys want to ask some more questions.
They hadn't even
like-
gotten to any of them.
We were like, what dead horse can we beat in the meantime? What can I complain about?
Well, keep for just another moment. No,
Yeah.
I guess. Well, I can read our notes on the phone. I'll be fine. I'll be all right.
This is about the 10th time that Jasper has come down the stairs, by the way.
Didn't hear
we
him.
are having
so-
a chaotic night.
Yeah.
Oh, he's sundowning pretty bad. And there he goes. He's going right back outside.
Aw.
My dog is almost 17, everybody out there. So just like understand it's a process every night.
Aw.
Oh, poor
Bless him.
Bubba's. Bless
Yep.
his little heart.
Bless his
Right.
heart.
So let's
Bless
get
his
into it.
heart.
Let's do it. Scorched Earth.
As a reminder, we will have a comments check after we go through our whole spiel. So please don't feel like we're ignoring you. So today we're talking about season 4, episode 9. It's called Scorched Earth. Overall thoughts on this episode, Christina, whatever you remember about it.
Nothing.
All right,
You
well,
just-
you're in for a
No, no, no.
ride.
We're just
No,
gonna
I
tell.
mean-
Okay, story time with Christina tonight.
Yeah.
It's story time with Christina.
If you can't tell, I'm having a very chaotic day. No, I do remember. I really like conceptually this idea of like terraforming and kind of rebranding. Like it's obviously like a trope that's done in a lot of shows. I find it interesting, but I kind of want to leave some commentary towards the end. Overall, I do like it. It's entertaining, but I don't feel that I could do without it. I don't need it. Why
I
are you
love
laughing
how
at?
you said rebranding like fucking fashion show. We're gonna rebrand this
This is a
whole
great
planet.
planet rebrand.
We're gonna give
I'm
it some
loving what
bangs
you've
and some
done here.
highlights. Rebrand.
Again, that should tell you where I'm having a day. Anyway, yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Oh, God.
The ultimate rebrand.
Without getting too heavy into very on the nose politics with this, like every time I watch this episode, it's the like pro or anti-abortion question for me. In the two different societies, creatures, whatever, and where they are. One of them's clearly they're sentient and they're alive. So to me, every time I think about it, like there used to be this question that I would hear for like pro or anti-abortion, where it'd be like, you know, there's a child on one side and a bucket of zygotes on the other side of a river that's flooding. Which one do you save? You know, like
Right.
it's that sort of question.
Yeah.
And like I said, I don't want to get too far into like specifically abortion politics or anything, but the question, the quandary is very similar, and like the
Yeah.
what Jack is going through and all of that in his brain is very similar.
Yes.
So I always find that really interesting about this episode, and it always, I feel like every time I watch this episode, I think about another point for either side sometimes. You know, like, oh, but this way, oh, or this way. So it's actually, to me, a pretty ultimate, you know, debate, like ethical debate episode.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I agree with you. I did think of like abortion politics. I
Mhm.
also thought of like animal ethics, which I might get up on my little vegetarian soapbox, but I'm not gonna be preachy, I promise. Like I'll try to make it like relatable and not insufferable. But yeah, I totally, and I'm gonna ask you guys at the end some like pretty
Yeah, that's fine.
questions.
I'm
That's
ready. I'm
fine.
ready for it.
If
I
we
wanna
go there, we
know.
go there. But I
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
especially didn't want to dive into it before we've even
That's
talked
why,
about
like,
the
I'm
episode.
leaving my thoughts on like to the end because I figured we'd
Yeah.
get there
Yep.
at that point.
But this is like, I feel like this is kind of the crux of science fiction and why it resonates with people so much, because these are very human questions and human scenarios in the form of like aliens. Let's make it like, let's take the human factor out of it and make them aliens so that maybe you can digest it a little easier.
Mhm.
So this is like one of those perfect science fiction-y moral quandaries episodes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's get into it. Our episode opens off-world and we see it's a rather primitive settlement. They're having a feast, and at like the wedding table, you know how like the bride and the groom and like all the wedding party, at the head table, we see SG-1 as guest of honor, and a woman named Hedrazar begins giving a speech celebrating the transportation of their people to this new land. She thanks SG-1 for helping them find this planet and saving them from doom, which we will elaborate on later. But just right off the bat, we can tell these people are like humanoid, but they look a little bit different. Their eyes, they got the worst case of jaundice, man. Whew, their eyes are yellow. And Hedrazar is blind. So this village leader, she is blind, she can't see. So we will learn more about that, but just some observations from the jump. She goes on to explain that when her grandchild is born, it will be the first in Karen to be born on their new homeland, and they're gonna name the child after Jack, which was like super awkward. Like that was just
Everybody
like,
else on
SG-1
SG-1 is like like they give the look.
And like what part, because they go by like their military rank. So like, are they gonna name the kid Colonel? Are they gonna name the kid Jack? Are they gonna name the kid O'Neill? Like,
Oh yeah,
who
like
knows?
what part? Because they don't understand military rank like that.
Right. Like the Hedrazar could be
Colonel.
her first or last name. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
So that's interesting.
And this
And
episode also
awkward.
features, what's his name? Alessandro Giuliani. Whatever that guy's name, he was in Battlestar, and he's also in other Stargate episodes.
Is he the son or the
Yeah. He's in like he's on Abydos for some of the episodes too. Yeah.
Oh.
ethnically ambiguous man? We'll just,
I know that's really what it
We're gonna-
unfortunately that's probably what it is.
Yeah. So we learned that SG-1 provided them a Naquita generator that will help their city for at least a year to heat it as they rebuild. Cut to the most Minecraft-ass looking city you've ever seen. The CGI is rough. It looks like a box fort like you make as a kid.
Yep.
To be fair, it was the year 2000. Okay. 24 whole years ago.
Yeah. It's rough.
Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind.
But they have plans, and this is just the beginning, so I can't be too much of a hater. but I'm going to be.
Yeah, how's your city gonna look, Sarah? If you gotta build
Right.
a city, what's it gonna look like?
I would listen. I've had this conversation before. If the end of the world comes, I'm going to gracefully
You wouldn't
see
be there.
myself
Yeah,
out.
yeah,
No,
you wouldn't be there.
I'm tapping out immediately. I was
Mhm.
born in the right time. All these people, I wish I was born in the Wild West or no, you fucking don't. I enjoy plumbing. I enjoy air conditioning way too much. Okay. And I hate camping and I hate bugs and nature. So I'm taking the time that I was born in.
There you
All
go.
things considered.
There you go.
So yeah, my city would look like shit, but that's why I love it,
Two sticks like leaning against each other.
No, you know
Yeah,
what though? I
in
beg
the
to
office.
differ, Sarah. I think that your city would be slower to build, but when it's built, would be fucking fantastic because you would figure out a way to modernize the shit out of it. You'd be like, no. If they figured out how to do plumbing, I'm gonna figure it out again. Like I think you would take the time to like slowly figure it out and give
need the
yourself a
modern
tiny
comfort.
glamping space.
Yeah.
Like I think you'd just like go small.
Are you
to
willing
make
to
it
like
good.
innovate all those modern comforts again, Sarah? Or you're just
Well,
like,
she does.
no, never
I
mind.
don't know. That's a lot of
done."
work.
Yeah,
Like I think you'd like find people. You'd be like, hey, you're good at that. You do that.
that's
I do
fair.
that.
That's fair. You
I
can pull
do
people
think
together.
you would like pull a team together. That's
I'm
like
glad
where
you
I
have
do
faith
think
in me. But I
I
was actually
do.
talking about this at work one day with like all my old work ladies, and I think we were talking about how hot it was, and then all the global warming, and then I was like, Cindy, girl, I'm just gonna let you know. She was like, me too, me and Cindy, we're tapping
fair
out.
enough.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm not gonna last.
It's that breakup music,
Yeah.
on TikTok nowadays, where they're like, me and my bestie having to like,
Yep.
and they're always just like, bye. That's you. That's you at
Yeah.
the end of the world. Yeah.
Yeah,
You off.
I would not. No.
Oh God.
So anyway, a man comes running to the village and he's panicking. And he's saying that his whole village was destroyed. They follow him and they see a giant ship blasting out fire and destroying everything in its wake. And we get our opening credits.
That giant
Cut to
Roomba.
yeah, it's just like a flamethrower just going everywhere.
As far as all of the other CGI, because there is like they did the one shot of the big ship, right? That looks really huge and like
Mhm.
pretty impressive, right? And then they cut to this like trying to show you the trees being burned, and you're like, oh, okay, never mind. Like we're back, we're back to that CGI. But the ship looks great. Like
Yeah.
the ship looks awesome. And it
Oh, no.
looks imposing and it looks huge,
But those Minecraft trees are
the trees, man.
suffering.
Yeah. And they
So-
linger on that shot a little too long too. You're like,
Mhm.
okay, we get it. Like we get it.
But back in 2000, I bet this looked
It was
great.
really cool looking, I'm sure.
We were
yeah.
like, oh my God. So after our opening credits, we are in the briefing room. We get some exposition from Sam. She says, we estimate the ship about to be 2 miles in diameter. The curtain of energy it's using to sweep the landscape stretches over 20 miles. It seems to be depositing a yet unknown gas-like substance that is spreading like a wake behind the ship. Now it extends beyond the range of the UAV, but appears to cover hundreds of miles. So this ship is doing some work, and it's been doing it for a while. It's only just caught up to them now.
Mhm.
We learn that Teal'c has not seen this type of thing. He is back on the planet. They don't tell us that, but we find out like he's back on the planet still with Thea and Karen's, and the rest of SG-1 went to tell Daddy Hammond what the scoop is. So they don't believe the ship wants to hurt Thea and Karen's. And there's kind of this quip between like Jack and Daniel is like, this is a really indirect approach. Like it would be weird if that was their goal because this is very indirect.
It's very slow moving.
yeah.
It's just
Mhm.
Yeah.
it's like Austin Powers or the, like the
The James Bond
the
laser
cement roller. Like
slowly coming
Yeah.
up.
it's
Yeah.
not the most efficient way to do it.
No. So that's why Daniel was like, there has to be another reason or motive. So they only have about 26 hours until the ship reaches Hedrazar's village and destroys the Stargate. So there's two things they're worried. Obviously the people, but if it destroys the Stargate, they're extra screwed.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some dialogue, Carter, Daniel Hammond, and like one O'Neill. So I can do the Hammond and the O'Neill.
Okay, good. Because I think me flipping back and forth between Carter and Hammond is
It will be a lot. Yeah.
it's a bit excessive. We've done it before, but
It's a lot.
all right. The concern is where to send them. Even low-level radiation can cause the Ankarans to go blind. Without the density of ozone on this particular planet, they'll all die.
The only other planet we know with similar conditions is the Ankaran homeworld, and according to Ankaran verbal history, there's no Stargate there.
Right, but the Gould kidnapped their ancestors with ships.
Even if we had a method of transportation, the Ankarans of today would have no concept of where that planet is in the galaxy.
I put SG-5, 6, and 9 on a lookout for another suitable planet.
It's doubtful they'll find one in time, sir.
How long can we keep the Ankarans on Earth here in the meantime?
A matter of days. Their condition would degrade the longer they were here.
There are thousands of them outside Hedrazar's village, spread a fair distance from the gate. It took us 2 weeks to transplant them to P5S381 in the first place.
So then O'Neill says, the point is, General, we could never save them all. So this is not just like the little encampment that we saw. There are thousands of them that they've already moved to this planet. And we learned that their physiology requires a very specific type of atmosphere and ozone because they're extremely sensitive to radiation. So the radiation on our planet, just from the sun and like UV rays and shit, would be enough to kill them.
Yeah. So they're humans though, but that, like, I guess because their ancestors are from that planet where like everything was so protected, they didn't like develop the same.
Yeah.
Like they developed completely differently because they're not aliens. They're
right. They're humans.
They're definitely humans. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like if you look at our planet, like people who live closer to the equator have more melanin, and people who live far, like so it's something. It could be something as simple as it just takes like thousands of years of evolution and being on that planet. But yeah. So cut to Sam's lab. She's looking at soil samples, and it appears the ship is depositing microbes that bind with sulfur to support a sulfur-based life form.
Can I stop you and make a comment here?
Of course.
I just find it very fun and funny. And this is all across sci-fi, right? That your science character is an expert in literally everything. That there isn't like, couldn't you just have like another of the science dudes in there being like with Sam or something to be like, it would be more believable to me, I think.
Right. It's not a dirt scientist.
Like, telling you about the soil samples.
She's a star scientist, not a dirt scientist. Okay.
Right. But yeah, I think they get better about that kind of later though, because you start seeing all the other side scientist characters more often. Or maybe they just didn't have the budget for like extra people in this episode. I don't know.
Yeah.
She just knows everything.
Yep.
Fine.
Yeah.
I mean, she does, but
yeah, it's true.
We know the haters will disagree and be like, this is unrealistic. So
I got that out of the way. We already thought about it.
Yeah, we called it out. So you don't have to fucking say anything, bitch. We're in rare form tonight.
We thought of it first. Okay.
Yeah. So it's terraforming the planet essentially, or as Christina says, it's rebranding. Carbon is out, sulfur is in, guys. Paris fashion show.
Fall 2024, 2000.
So just a little facelift.
Yeah. Some highlights and some bangs too, So anyway, if the ship terraforming continues, the planet will no longer support life as we know it. So back on the planet, Jack and Daniel meet up with Teal'c. He tells them the Ankarans don't want to leave. They're like, no, bitch. Like, it took us forever. We finally found a home. We're not leaving. But because they know they're going to die on Earth and at the SGC if they can't find another planet. They also realize there's not enough time to evacuate everyone, and they refuse to leave their people behind. So, like, that's a better reason. Like, they know there's not enough time. They also, so they want SG-1 to help them fight back against this ship. They were like, listen, you took us here. What the fuck? Like, you got to help us out. This is kind of your fault, even though you helped us. Yeah. So Daniel tells them they're going to try and communicate with whoever is on the ship. But Hedrazar is firm, and they are not leaving, and they're willing to die fighting back. Cut to the gate. Sam is there setting up a transmitter, hopefully able to send a signal to the ship to be like, hey, let's have a chat. So then, of course, they're suddenly beamed aboard the ship. It's a very sterile looking environment. Everything is white with some fancy bubble tubes for decor. I don't know
Gotta
what the
have those
function
bubble
is,
tubes.
but pretty
Yeah.
cool. Different
It's just a blank
lights,
slate. Blank
fancy.
slate.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Teal'c thinks it's a storage facility, and Sam notices the air is breathable, even though the ship is going to great lengths to rebrand to sulfur-based life form. So it's like, how do they know? Like, this is weird. Daniel starts snooping and pressing buttons, and he opens basically the ship is just like walls of drawers, and he opens
Mhm.
ones up and he finds something that appears to be like slides of tissue.
Can we talk about how like O'Neill's like, don't touch that to
He
Sam?
said that to
and
Sam.
and then Daniel's just like, boop. Like
Literally,
I'm gonna
like,
do it anyway.
What did I just tell you? Like it's like his children, seriously.
Mhm.
Mhm. I mean, I would be booping everything as well. So
Yeah.
it's fun, you know.
Listen, I'm nosy. I can understand it. I get it, man.
Yeah.
Also,
Get
when
it.
all it takes is like a little meep, and then
Swipe.
the whole drawer opens up. I mean,
That's kind of cool.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't
It's
have
all
to
part
like
of the rebrand.
combination or anything. So a set of doors slide open and a man enters, and he has the appearance of an Karen, and he introduces himself as Lotan. So we have some dialogue. There's a little break, but then the dialogue continues. So Lotan, Carter, O'Neill, Daniel.
I can do Lotan Daniel.
Okay, yeah, there's not a lot of Daniel.
Yeah, I can do that.
Cool.
Okay, I have no idea how this man actually talks, but we're gonna go with it.
Like a robot.
Yes.
Oh.
But you
Very
don't have to be like
deadpan.
meep, merp, meep.
Not like that kind of
I am.
robot.
No, I'm just kidding. All right, no, we're good. All right, he says, I am a biomechanical representation of beings now occupying this planet. When they were first encountered, several Incarans were scanned by the ship, and a randomized but similar appearance was selected.
Wait a second. That was yesterday. This ship analyzed a new life form and created a new replica in one day.
So Lotan does realize that SG-1 are not in Karen and explain that they're friends, but they're not from this planet.
Yeah. Since you are friends with the Incarans, would you deliver the message to them?
That would depend.
When the transformation process was first begun, there was no sentient life forms present.
Yeah, well, there are now.
Yes, unfortunately for your friends, once the process has begun, it must be completed.
Are you saying someone went to the trouble of making you just to come here to tell these folks tough luck, get out?
We wish no harm to come to the Incarans. However, upon examination of their physiology, it had been determined that they will not be able to exist in the planet's transformed environment.
So stop transforming it.
And then Daniel says to Jack, Jack, they're just trying to get the point across the best way possible.
I know what the point is. It's the PR guy. I think we should be talking to your boss.
And then Lotan says, assumption of hierarchical command structure. Interesting. Follow me.
So SG-1 follows Lotan. Hold on. Can we go? I just wanted to say the whole randomized blah, blah, blah. It's like the video game when like instead of like picking your character's features, you just hit randomize. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go with it. That's what it made me think of.
And you get this guy.
Yeah.
Mm.
They couldn't even give him like a full head of hair. Had to give him that receding hairline. Tough luck, buddy. So SG-1 followed Lotan to another chamber. Lotan stops by a console and activates it. In the center of the chamber, we see an image of an alien being projected. SG-1 all stare at it. Lotan explains the ship is fully automated. The beings that built it are called the Gadmeer. They placed all of their knowledge within the ship's memories, science, mathematics, medicine, art, philosophy, 10,000 years of civilization. This is their legacy. They were and are very advanced race compared to the Incarans. However, they are also peaceful and fell victim to a superior military power. So they built the ship as in the hopes that their world would be born again, far from the reach of their enemies. So we learned some important things. One, they're extremely advanced just based off of looking at this ship alone. But the knowledge that the ship contains, 10,000 years of philosophy, medicine, art. It's not just like super fancy technologies. Like this is art, philosophy, music, we find out. We also find out that they are peaceful. They are not aggressive, or they're not like this evil, people that are just like, well, like the aliens in Independence Day, where it's like they're locusts and they jump from planet to planet, sucking it dry. Like they're good.
Yeah, I think it's important to say that they were peaceful because and that they were taken out by a militaristic like society or whatever, because it's basically very similar to what the Incarans and like with the Goa'uld and everybody as well. So like they're trying to make it as parallel as they can, but also make them look like bugs, because you always have to, if you're not going to have to actually show much of the aliens, they need to look like bugs.
They do look very bug-like.
Yep.
Yeah. We also learned that the ship only has enough raw material to transform one planet. Now that the transformation has started, it must be finished here, or the entire Gadmeer civilization will be lost forever. The Incarans must leave, or they will die. So here's my question, and I don't know if like I just missed this or read this wrong. There's actually no Gadmeer alive in stasis on this ship waiting to be revived, right? It's just these biological samples that will give birth to them again.
That hence the bucket of zygotes thing I was talking about at the beginning. Yeah, there's no actual alive, probably fertilized, I would assume, because how else are you gonna get that going? But yeah,
that's an interesting. Yeah,
I mean, I have issues, but like if they had selected that planet, there should be some sort of like do not enter. If they're peaceful, there should have been something to be like, nobody come here.
We find out later on,
but like, this is my commentary.
So when they selected this planet, the Incarans weren't there. It was void of life, and there's a whole bunch of other specifications.
It was also started like on the other side of the planet before they.
Yeah, that's true, and they didn't pick up on it.
Yeah,
because they just came through the gate. They didn't come in a ship. SG-1 didn't come in a ship. They came through the gate.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is our moral dilemma. The Incarans can't leave due to their sensitivities towards radiation, and they'll die. But if the ship stops, the entire Gadmeer civilization will be lost forever. So Lotan asks SG-1 to explain the situation to the Incarans, and he's like, bye, and beams them away. Like, get out. So back at what the fuck was it? Back at the SG-1. I guess like back at the encampment, Sam is explaining to him. Oh,
SGC.
That's what it was. Yeah. Thank you. Back at the SGC, Sam is explaining to Hammond that the Gadmeer civilization is also vulnerable to UV radiation. That probably is why they chose that planet. The same conditions that make it ideal for the Incarans make it the ideal for the transformation, the rebrand. So we have some dialogue between Daniel, O'Neill, Hammond, Carter.
I can do Hammond and Carter. They're not next to each other.
Okay.
I got Daniel. All right. I don't mean to sound insensitive to the Incarans, but we'd be interfering with the rebirth of an entire alien civilization. Now, if you believe Lotan, an incredibly advanced and peaceful one.
So the best society wins here.
No, I wasn't saying that.
You're talking about a bunch of freeze-dried aliens whose civilization was lost a long time ago. The Incarans are there now.
I don't want to see anything happen to them either.
What about this robot? Could he be convinced to delay the transformation long enough for us to relocate the Incarans?
The robot's a robot, sir.
He's basically just a messenger, sir.
But he was created in the image of the Incarans so that they could relate to him, understand his explanation of what was happening to them and why. Now, that could work to our advantage. He is an incredibly advanced alien creation. We shouldn't just assume that he's incapable of reason or feelings.
Well, he didn't seem very concerned with helping.
Well, if he's capable of learning, we might be able to get him to think outside his program.
So Jack suggests to Hammond that they blow up the ship, but Hammond cannot authorize a military strike. Jack is frustrated. They spent months getting to know the Incarans and helping them, and the Incarans trusted the SGC, and they let them down. So they have to find another way. Hammond's like, I can't give you any personnel. I can't give you any military. Like, you got to Picard this shit, okay? So SG-1 go back to the planet. The Incarans remain firm, and they refuse to leave. Jack asks Sam if it would be possible to turn the Nakodo reactor into a bomb. Jack's hands are tied. Without another option, he needs to take action or all the Incarans will die. They can't wait around. So I feel like Jack might honestly be the antagonist of this episode. because he is the one who's kind of forcing his
Well,
hand, or like
it's ultimately he has to make the call too. Like
right,
nobody else is making the call. He has to.
right.
Mhm.
So I don't disagree with him.
Hmm.
So there's this dialogue between O'Neill and Carter. This is really good. So do you guys want to read that?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll take over, O'Neill. All right. How do you make a Nakoda bomb?
Well, sir, the reactor was designed specifically to prevent exactly that kind of.
Carter?
Theoretically, if I created a feedback loop, the energy would build up instead of being released. There would be a big explosion, sir.
Big enough?
I think so.
Carter, I'm making a choice to help these people, but if you don't make that bomb, I'm out of options.
I know.
So I have to order you to do it.
Yes, sir.
This was really good because he truly wasn't being a dick. Like he was being very honest and being like, listen,
He's like, I know you don't want to do this. Like,
and I don't want to have to make you do this.
yep.
But I
Like,
have to make you do it.
yeah, it sucks all around. And you can tell like he feels like shit, but
Mm-hmm.
because he's like, I love you. And I don't want to make you do something you don't want to do, but I also have
That's
to.
hence my little
Yeah.
title down there. Just wait till the next episode.
He's like, you're so good and pure, and I know you want to do the right thing, and I'm making you do the thing you don't think is the right thing.
Because, like, you know, if it was anyone else, he would not have that sensitivity to it. He'd be like, make the fucking bomb and move on.
Yeah.
But he had a soft delivery.
Yeah.
A little soft.
But it's still an order, so go fucking do it. Like,
but like with a smile, with
Mhm.
Yeah.
compassion.
Yeah. So Sam makes the bomb. Once the detonator is triggered, they have no way to turn it off. And they have 50 minutes before the ship reaches the bomb. They have to blow it up like before the ship like fire flamethrowers all over it. So they have this window of time. And then once he triggers it, they have a minute before it blows. So then back at the village, Daniel begins to wander off, and Teal'c asks where he's going. Daniel explains he's going to try to talk to Lotan. I like Teal'c in this episode. He doesn't get a lot of screen time, but he's like
He's got solid things to say. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's, you guys want to read that dialogue between Teal'c and
Yep.
Daniel?
Yep. I'll be Teal'c.
Okay.
If you warn Lotan of our plan, it will prove ineffective.
I'm not going to give anything away. I just want to try to prevent it from being necessary.
Should you not remain until the return of Colonel O'Neill and Major Carter?
Well, actually, Jack asked me to give him another choice, so technically I'm following an order.
And then is he get a Teal'c eyebrow?
Oh,
raise?
yeah. The
Like,
really, I can't do that. I can't. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
You're really good at it, Well. Jesus.
I was a big Alan. I am a big Alan Rickman fan, also, and then The Rock, also. Like,
Oh, there's no way my face could never. I end up being like,
Yeah. Just blinking.
you're like, "Ee!" It was practice.
Maybe
There was a
after
lot of holding one
the
side
Botox
down to get
wears
the other
off.
side.
Yeah. All right. So Teal'c is not like he's very matter of fact with Daniel. He's like, hey, like, are you gonna tell him? Because like that's gonna put a damper on our plan. But he's not like, you can't go. You need to stay here. Like, I don't know. I just like Teal'c's attitude through this whole episode. So Daniel
like a little, like Jiminy Cricket or whatever, the little conscience. Like, are you sure?
Yeah,
maybe we should do this.
Yeah,
To both, to like Daniel and Jack. Yeah, it's
he's
great.
the most neutral party, I think, in this whole scenario. So Daniel's beamed aboard the ship and Lotan greets him. Daniel explains the Incaran situation in more detail. Lotan explains that he tried breathing the sulfur-based environment being created, and he was like, it was not good. Just like, that was terrible.
Like he's trying things, though. He's like, let me see if this works. Like,
like, oh, God. I guess that's why they're all upset. That was shitty. So Lotan touches a console and a sound emits, and it's Gadmeer music that hasn't been heard in over 1,000 years. And he's like, this actually sounds terrible to the human ear. This does not sound good, man. It is not supposed to sound like this. It's like, trust me. It's like when you're showing your friends your ugly boyfriend, and it's like, but he's a great guy. He's not that bad. He's a great guy.
He's not bad.
Yeah, it's like that. So there's some dialogue between Daniel and Lotan. You guys want to read that?
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I'm here to see if you will consider alternate solutions to the problem faced by the Incarans.
I am not programmed to solve the problem faced by the Incarans.
Right. Let me ask you something. What will happen to you when this is all over?
I will be reintegrated into the ship's systems.
You mean you'll die?
Yes, I suppose that is one interpretation.
Do you want to die?
What I want is irrelevant.
Wouldn't you like to experience a little bit more of what it's like to be an Incaran before you're reintegrated? I mean, see some of the planet before it's completely transformed and maybe even meet the people.
For what purpose?
Because it might help you consider alternate solutions.
I'm not programmed to consider alternate solutions.
You said the ship will continue to process without you, correct?
Yes, as I have said, its functions are fully automated.
Well, then no harm done. We'll have a look around.
So Daniel's working his magic, trying to like get Lotan to expand his mind. And this is where they're calling him a robot, but I don't think I think he is fully biodegradable. Like he's actually
Yeah. They're
because-
calling him a robot, but
yeah, but he's programmed a certain way, so he appears very robotic. But if he's trying to breathe in this atmosphere, like he has to have
Mhm.
like human lungs and shit. So but we learn like he's very, this is my function, this is what I was designed for, and he's got those blinders on, he's not really considering any other options. Like to him there is only one solution. So Jack and Sam arrive back at the village, and this is some more dialogue between them that I think is really important. Do you guys want to read this?
Totally.
Yes. Hold on. Let me get prepared here. All right. Sir, no disrespect intended, but I'm having doubts as to whether or not we're doing the right thing.
What is that, Carter? The right thing? We brought these people here. They depend on us. What else are they going to do?
I don't know.
You want to talk me out of this?
Yes, sir. And then she like holds the trigger and just hands it to
It
him.
gives him the
like-
detonator, yeah.
And then he says, stay in contact.
So it's like Sam and Daniel are kind of like, or no. Yeah, Sam and Daniel are
Mhm.
kind of like, we shouldn't just like blow the ship. And Jack is like, I need to do something now, or like,
Yeah,
they're
he's
gonna
out of
die.
they're out of
Yeah.
time. But like
Yeah.
Sam and Daniel aren't wrong to be like, this doesn't feel good either, you know?
Yeah.
Like none of it feels good.
yeah. So Daniel and Lotan have been beamed down, and they're walking around, taking a stroll, and Lotan is enjoying like the air and the trees, and it's like, oh, this air is much actually nicer, like fresh and better than the air on the ship that they made for me. And he's like, the design of these trees are like really interesting. Teal'c tells Jack that Daniel went off to speak with Lotan, and Jack is annoyed, but Teal'c is like, hey, like I don't disagree with him. Really, hold on. I'm sorry. Did you say something in the chat, Christina? I'm sorry if I'm like,
That's good. I did.
okay, sorry.
All good. All good.
Anyway,
We're good.
okay. So Jack radios Daniel and is basically like, what the fuck, man? And he's mad. He's like, tell me you're not on that ship. And Daniel's like, okay, I'm not on the ship. Which is not very convincing because he could very well be on the ship, and that's just something like Daniel.
It sounds like something he would say even if he was on the ship. Yes, correct.
Yeah. And I think Jack kind of grills him like, you better not be telling him what our plan is. Like, keep your mouth shut.
Mhm.
So Lotan and Daniel head for the village. And this is like a really interesting concept. Lotan says, you're not fulfilling your function, Daniel
Mhm.
Jackson. And Daniel says, well, you see, that's not true. I'm choosing the best way to fulfill my true function. You see, sometimes hierarchical command structures don't allow you to consider all possible options. So Daniel introduces
Yeah,
Lotan
Daniel.
to the Incarans. Daniel explains Lotan was created as a way to communicate between them and the ship. And then Lotan notices that Hedrazar is blind as a result of the radiation they were exposed to on the planet where SG-1 found them. So the one that the Gould moved them to 100,000
Mhm.
years ago. and this was the only planet that would be suitable for them. And Daniel tells Lotan that these are technically his people too, since he was created in their image, which is a stretch, but I'll give it to him.
Yeah.
And Lotan says, "You've brought me here to elicit sympathy for these people. I was not created to prevent their demise, Daniel Jackson." And then the ship calls Lotan back, and Daniel asks to go with. They have 5 minutes before the ship is in position. So again, if they don't do anything, the ship's gonna blow the bomb itself anyway, and it's not gonna be as controlled or as good. So on the ship, Lotan sees that the ship detected the bomb, and Jack tells Sam that Daniel is on the ship. The ship is in position. It's now or never. Teal'c tells Jack that Daniel has made his choice, and Jack makes the choice to detonate the bomb. Now they still have a minute left, but this is a very like damn like holy shit choice.
Damn, Daniel. No.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the ship, Lotan can see that the bomb has become active. He's like, it's now in an active state. And Daniel begs him, can you at least stop the ship until we can figure something out? Can you do that? Hit pause. And then Daniel says, wouldn't that be a betrayal of everything? Because he's like, did these Gadmeer people, like, they had justice systems and ethics and morals that they abided by, and they didn't want to hurt other people. And he said, wouldn't this be a betrayal of everything they stood for? You said we were made to communicate. You're not here simply to serve life on the ship. You're here to protect the integrity of that life. There's a big difference. Are you really fulfilling your true function by allowing this to happen? So he kind of gets him in a catch-22.
Yeah.
But it works. On the planet, we see the ship has stopped, so there's no more flame throwing. And they have 30 seconds before the bomb blows. Lotan just beams it aboard.
He yeets it.
Yeah. And
he beams it aboard first, and then
he beams it on the ship, and he's like to Daniel, can you deactivate this? And Daniel is like, no, I can't. So he does. He just shoots it off into the sky, and it blows up in the sky. So it explodes without harming the ship. So there's a lot of dialogue between Lotan and Daniel. Do you guys want to read that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Go for it.
The conflict remains unresolved. I must eventually resume the transformation process on this planet, or the Gadmeer civilization will be lost. Many millions of planets were scanned to match the right conditions for the transformation. Only one met the specifications.
Just out of curiosity, were any others even close?
2,634 parameters had to be exactly right for the
for the transformation process, yes. But what about for the Incarans?
I do not understand.
Well, maybe the Incarans don't need exactly the same environment as the transformation process, just a very similar one. Now, you know their physiology better than anyone. Do any of the planets scanned by the ship match the needs of the Incarans?
Here, this planet would be appropriate for the Incarans.
Daniel's looking at it.
I regret that I didn't consider this possibility, Daniel Jackson.
Well, you would have gotten there eventually.
This planet was rejected by the ship because 3 of the parameters were not correct. The core temperature was too warm, the size was too large, and there were intelligent life forms already present.
Intelligent life forms?
Based on their description, I believe they were Incaran.
The lost home world of the Incarans. So Daniel and Lotan beam back down to the village. We'll kind of shotgun this. Yeah. But he basically is like, hey, I have a compromise for you. You gotta leave. And they were like, what the fuck? How is that a compromise? And he's like, just kidding. We found another place for you to go. It's the original Incaran home world, and it was scant. You know, they were doing their due diligence. I will say the Gadmeer, like, they could have been like, there's people there. I don't give a fuck. Rebrand.
Yeah.
So the Incarans accept the offer, but the homeworld has no Stargate, and Lotan is like, I have a fancy ship, and I would love to take you there. And then he'll be reintegrated into the ship systems, and the ship will return here to complete the rebrand. Daniel poses the question, do you have to reintegrate? Like, and Hedrazar is right away, she's like, no, you are Incaran. You must stay with us. They're super accepting.
Love them. Love them.
Yeah. Yes.
And he says something, and I don't know if just like my brain can't comprehend. He's like, that is not contrary to my programming. So I guess that's his way of saying, okay, I guess
Yeah.
I can. Like,
Yep.
Mhm.
cool. So they spread the word. The Incarans are going home, and we see the last of them being beamed aboard the ship before it flies off into the sunset. And that's our episode.
Yep.
Mhm.
Nice little neat package there at the end.
Yeah,
like
we didn't
it.
really. Yeah. Although I do wonder, this is where like the I guess cynic in me comes out, because it's like, what if they get to the Incaran homeworld and the rest of the Incarans are dicks to them, and they're like, "Ew, you colony sludge, like you ghouls from the other planet, ew," and there's like this whole, like I don't know, like I wonder if they'll truly be accepted, because it's been a long time, and who knows if
Yeah.
the Incarans on the other planet are like they still look the same, if they've evolved even more. Um, I don't know. I hope they're accepted with open arms, but we don't know because
No.
we never hear from them again.
We never hear from
Never.
them again.
Yeah.
Nope.
So, themes and discussion. I liked the episode title, Scorched Earth, because there's like
Mhm.
dual meaning to it. Obviously, the
Mhm.
giant flying Roomba ship that's flame throwing, like very literal sense. But there's a lot of other definitions for the term scorched earth as like idioms or like a figure of speech. So it is a military strategy that involves the destruction of resources and property to prevent an enemy from using them. It's like, oh, we don't want to share our toys, we're just going to destroy them so no one can have them. It's
Mhm.
actually a very toxic mindset. This can
Mhm.
include the destruction of crops, livestock, it crops and livestock. Like we're not even talking about like weapons or dangerous things. It's
No,
like
all of it.
land, livestock, crops, buildings, infrastructure, water, food, humans,
Mhm.
animal, like it everything. That's scorched earth, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
So that's you when advancing in through enemy territory to punish the resistance of when retreating to leave nothing of military value behind. The term was first used in English in 1937 in a report about Sino-Japanese conflict. May have been a translation of the Chinese term that I'm not going to try to pronounce.
I wouldn't try to pronounce that either.
Okay, I was
Nope.
going to see if you would know, but
Zhao to you, but I don't know.
yeah. This is also a term used in
Strange.
business strategy. A scorched
Mhm.
earth policy can also refer to a business strategy in which a company intentionally makes itself less attractive to a potential buyer. This can be done by selling off assets, taking on debt, or promising management large payouts if they are fired. Another definition, it's directed towards victory or supremacy at all costs, ruthless.
Mhm.
It's also a mentality people can have, like in their personal lives.
Mhm.
Scorched earth mentality can also refer to a ruthless approach to victory or being directed towards supremacy at all costs. For example, someone might describe their approach to a relationship as scorched earth if they burn it to the ground when they get angry, or if they're quick to cut someone out who might have wronged them.
Mhm.
I also think, to add to that, like a scorched earth mentality is like, I don't care if I also get damaged in this process. Like we're all going down and I'm taking you with me type of thing. Or it's like,
Mhm.
I'll expose you for something shitty you did. I don't care if you expose me. We're going
Mhm.
scorched earth. So I just thought it was
Mhm.
interesting that it has all of those different meanings to it. And that was the title episode.
It almost tries to the title itself almost seems then to try to set you up for what you think that ship is doing at the beginning versus,
Mm-hmm.
what
Mhm.
ultimately was actually going on or like what the intentions ultimately were.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
I thought it was also interesting, like the theme that was going on between Daniel and Lotan is like fulfilling your true function. Um, and how Lotan had a very narrow mindset of like, this is my function. I will not stray from this path. And Daniel was like, I'm going to take the roundabout way and the scenic
Mhm.
route to fulfilling my true function because I'm going to get there anyway. So here's my question for you guys. If there was no
Mhm.
solution, there was no Picarding your way out of this and figuring out some third option, who would you choose to survive and who would you kill?
I would save the Incarans.
Same.
Yeah.
To me, it
Same.
is the life question,
Yeah.
which actually it occurs to me even with Lotan, you've got a lot of questions of what equals sentient life and what doesn't.
Mhm.
in the episode. And I hate losing a civilization, but Lotan did also offer to like give translations to Daniel. So there could have potentially been at least the not like some of the information wasn't lost, but there's nothing like alive on that ship. And I just ultimately, I would pick the Incarans.
Yeah.
Yep. Hands down.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. As Jack put it, a bunch of freeze-dried aliens, which is why I asked that question. Like, are there actual Gadmeer life forms like in
because
stasis?
they even made the point to pull out like the only like that is
slide,
what they were. They were the little slides. So like, I think if they had to do it that way because it would have thrown you into a lot more of a quandary if there were actually like if they were in stasis or something on the ship, but they weren't in stasis on the ship. They were, you know,
so
at best, at most, like fertilized, like, you know, eggs or whatever.
Zygotes,
But,
or whatever.
Zygotes, basically. Yeah.
So Jack said something which this got me thinking about. He said, what? So the more advanced civilization wins here. And I think a lot of people could make that argument. It's like, well, the Gadmeer are more advanced. They have more to offer to the galaxy or whatever. And the Incarans don't with their shitty little Minecraft village. So I can see a lot of people making that argument of like, well, the more superior life form wins.
Again, have Lotan translate all that stuff and then let the Incarans learn it. And then now they're not behind anymore, you know, like.
So
that was the one thing, and it just occurred to me that it happened. Like when they're on the ship and they go into that room and he's showing them like what they look like and everything. And Daniel's like, oh, I'd really love to read this. Lotan's like, oh yeah, sure, I can get you a copy. Like here, have an iPad, have like the Kindle version.
It's super easy to translate to
your language is easy. I can
language.
totally do this. So it kind of, and then he was listening to a music recording too. So it's like everything but the actual like zygotes or whatever are things that could be passed on, even if it's not to the same civilization.
Right.
And that's where it gets into that discussion of like, I think, you know, would that be satisfactory? Because they do live on in a way. They're just not like rebirthed.
Correct.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. Like,
okay. So this is where I'm gonna get on my soapbox. And again, I'm gonna try and not be preachy or anything. But
go for it.
This is something that I confronted in myself when kind of deconstructing certain things when it comes to like animal life forms, right? How do we as a culture decide which animals live with us they sleep in our beds and we love them and they're our pets and they're our family, they're like parts of our family and we cry when they die, but then other animals we slaughter and kill to eat? How do we decide that this animal is for food and this animal is my pet? It is very cultural based because in some cultures cows are sacred. They would never eat cows. That's like sacrilege, but they might eat dogs, and to us that's unacceptable. Oh my God, you crossed a line, not a dog. So it just makes you think of like, how do we make those moral distinctions of like how we decide? And I think for me personally, and like, listen, if I wanted to be perfect, I'd be a vegan. I'm not. I eat cheese, I eat milk, I eat dairy, like, and I'll take that criticism of being hypocritical for not like going the full distance.
I mean, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. I'll take that criticism, but I don't even know where I was going with this or what I was going to say next, but it's like, how do I'd respect somebody more if they were just like, yeah, I eat animals and I don't care that an animal had to die for me to eat this. I don't care. Like, I'd respect that more than people kind of making justifications of like, well, actually, the animal lived a good life and it was killed ethically in a painless way and blah, 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 blah. Like, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, to me, I'm not interested in hearing about those arguments of like, well, it had a good life and it was raised in a loving place and it wasn't one of those factory farms. And when it was killed, it was painless. Because at the end of the day, like, no animal, no creature wants to die. So I'm not really interested in hearing those type of arguments because to me it makes no difference at the end of the day. So that's something that I thought of when they were kind of describing like, well, the Gadmeer are more advanced, so do they win? because certain animals like pigs are smart as like a 3-year-old child,
Mhm.
smarter than dogs. So how do we make that distinction of like, well, pigs are to eat and dogs are to be your best friend?
Yeah.
So that's my whole.
I would offer some, and I'm not saying American culturally, but
Mhm.
I would offer that in America we can have this argument a lot easier than in a lot of
Yes.
other cultures.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's definitely
The
privilege. that has-
resources we have
Yes.
privilege. Yes, correct.
Yes. I can jump in. Wells, if you have more, I can kind of add my commentary in after.
Oh no, that was my big
Jump in.
thing, and I think otherwise it's like this ingrained in it's like so ingrained in our cultures at this point as to what is and what isn't,
Yes.
that like I think that it's really hard. And this is me, like I don't eat a ton of meat. I try to
Mhm.
eat less meat, but I do eat meat. Um, and I think it's just it's like almost epigenetic at this point. It's been passed
Mhm.
down so long in our
Yeah.
society that
Mhm.
cows that we raise the cows to eat them, like we wouldn't
Mhm.
have so many cows. We wouldn't have like greenhouse issues, as many greenhouse issues going on if
Mhm.
we didn't have cows everywhere, like
Mhm.
farting and pooping everywhere. Like literally it is causing an
Yeah.
environmental
Yes.
issue. You know what
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, and that's all because of just inherent, like it's just passed down and like nobody wants to change like that
Mhm.
system or that concept outside of like what I was saying about other cultures. Like in Mongolia, when I was there, it was a very sustainable practice to eat an animal. Like it was
Yes.
nothing was thrown out. He was only one at a time. There was no like anything like that. And it wasn't the argument because they don't really see animals the same way we do. Even the dogs, they don't name them. They don't
Yeah.
name their animals or anything. But
Mhm.
like they still are so much more sustainable with the way they
Mhm.
process their animals or the way they kill their animals. So yeah, those are my two big points and my two like contributions, I guess, to that.
Yeah.
Well, then I would add in, so as a fellow vegetarian who was vegan for a few years and then added back in like egg and cheese to my diet. And then I have a kid who I cook meat for and all that, and I choose not to consume it for myself. But I've made that choice that for my child, I'll kind of educate them and let them make their own choices and kind of support them in that space. And kind of have good guardrails there. But like my initial decision into it came more from the cows are ruining the ozone and like the consumption is just like so out of balance that I want to do
Mhm.
my part from that space of it. And then kind of leaned into, of course, the empathy and the like construct of like our emotional connection to animals is definitely like lopsided here in the US, whereas in other places of the world, it's not the same. And it's a privilege for us to have that empathy and like to have that ability to connect because we don't have a necessity to have to get our nutrition from those food sources, like because in the hierarchy, like there is kind of that food chain. But I guess that's my point on it. Like I have no issue if someone is hunting and killing and eating and doing all that and gaming like in that space. Like for me, I'm like, great, but you need to like not be wasteful and don't do it for sport, don't do it for game, don't do it for that. Like that's my personal take on it. I don't want to, and I don't like catch and release like all that. But I do understand that for much of our society, people do need it in order to sustain and have like a balance, like to have what they need in their protein and that. But I personally don't partake. And I feel better not having it. But when I went full vegan, my body like required it. Like I was in a deficiency to the point where my nutritionist was like, you need to add something back in because your body particularly needs what you're gonna like. I can't give you the supplements enough to like make up for what just having a couple eggs
Yeah.
like every 2 days would do for you. Like at some point, your body is telling you you were made this way. You need this. Like
Yeah.
to figure that out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, none of that is a good answer to like
No.
the actual question of like, what do you consider, an
No.
animal you should or you shouldn't kill and eat or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't think there is obviously a good answer or a good solution
No.
because like it's too there are ways that we could be better about it, but it's just,
Totally.
like there are so many ways we could be better about it as
Yeah.
human beings. But
Yeah.
the reality is, I do think that people should understand a little more what they're eating. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this is
Mhm.
an animal that had to die for me to eat this. I
Mhm.
have a story, and I don't know if I told it on the podcast before, but in college, my friend Galen and I went fishing, and we specifically we're going to eat the fish, right?
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
like we're on this dock fishing in the Hudson River. Don't do that anymore, everybody. I'm surprised that don't have like a second head or something. But this was up. It was up. It wasn't right at the city, but still. Anyway, but there was this other college kid there, like somebody that went to school with us, and she was like so offended that we were like catching this fish and we were gonna eat it. And Galen was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Are you a vegetarian?" Or like he was trying to be like a little more respectful, and the girl was like, "No." So
Which
she wasn't even acknowledged. She's like, "Oh, I can eat meat when it doesn't look like the animal or something." Or
Yeah.
and let me not think about what I'm actually doing. I think there needs to be a better understanding
Yeah.
by everybody that like if you're
Agreed.
going to eat meat, you need to be fully aware that an animal died for you to eat. That
Yeah.
like you have
Mhm.
to be aware of that.
Yeah, and I do
Um,
think there's a disconnect because everything is just, like,
Mhm.
so pristinely packaged. It's
Yep.
so
Mhm.
transformed, like, deli lunch meat or whatever, like,
Yep.
looks nothing like whatever animal it came from.
Correct.
So
Mhm.
they're or, like, a nugget. What the fuck is a nugget? Like, that could be
Nuggets
anything.
probably not really mean anyway. Let's be real. But
Yeah,
No.
but yeah, I think
yeah.
that that's a huge problem in that
Mhm.
moral dilemma, is maybe not as much like we can't fix that people need to eat meat, especially in certain parts of the world, but like
Yo, yeah.
we could be better about understanding exactly where our food is coming from, for
And I
sure.
Totally.
I think a lot of people might pause. I don't know if it takes a lot to like change and go through that process. And some people, again, if they learn everything and still at the end of the day, they're like, I just don't care. I respect that more than people making, well, actually, well, actually, well, actually.
Yeah.
Like I just respect that more to be like, I know that an animal had to die and I really don't give a fuck. And
Yeah,
like I'm gonna
and
pet
like,
my dog
and you're allowed,
and
and you're
I love
allowed
my
to do that.
dog and my dog is different because it's my dog and I love it more and I just
Well,
don't
yeah,
care.
because if I had a
Yeah.
pet cow, I probably would not be able to kill it and eat it either.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
Yeah, no.
And this is
Or
also
a pet
like
pig, or a like,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Like it's like farming and like getting okay with that is really wild to me,
Mhm.
especially because like it's a stranger cow that I'm eating out of like
But
I
Yeah.
like
don't know this
again,
cow.
but again, that's a privilege because
I
like
know, I know.
and I think that's just like for all of us, like obviously for anyone listening, we acknowledge our privilege to have this
Mhm.
conversation from this space because for all those who do need to raise your food, and I do know that it is probably very hard for some people who have raised those animals to be their food and they get attached, but they
Yeah.
still understand that they have to do it. So I'm
Yeah.
also creating space for that because I've run into
Absolutely.
quite a few people in my life who really have trauma from having had to do that.
Absolutely.
So this is a very like obviously we understand where we're coming from. So
I
we're
couldn't
not in
yeah.
any way being insensitive or trying to just kind of having
No.
discourse.
No, literally saying I couldn't do that. Like
Yeah.
could not. Could
And
not.
even in certain parts of America, like it's not just America, like certain parts of America, there are food deserts. It is very hard for
Mhm.
people to get. So like I'm not trying to knock on anyone for their I will never judge anyone. Adam eats meat and I kiss him on the mouth, like
I mean, I make bacon for my child and
yeah.
chicken and burgers. It's just yeah.
But to
Yeah.
me, like, I also think, could I be the one to kill the animal? 100% no. I'd chicken
Nope.
out. My heart would hurt too much. I look at my cats when they sit and I'm like, oh, they look like little rotisserie chickens. Then I'm like, oh, they
Mhm.
like, yeah, they're little
I
chickens.
Oh,
Like,
I had to kill a mole one time that Jasper like
oh,
mortally wounded in the backyard, and he was already dying, and I
oh,
had to dispatch him, and I still was like,
oh. There's this picture I will send to y'all. There was a snake that was going to be a problem when we lived in Florida, and I had to kill it because it was otherwise at risk for my dog.
yeah.
And the tears of me after I had to kill it, and I'm like, I was traumatized
What kind
to
of
this
snake was it?
day.
Was it like a rattlesnake?
Mhm.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
I
and
get that.
then
Like, that's a safety issue.
Well, and then my parents were like, let's skin it and frame it.
Yeah,
No.
Like,
my
you guys
dad
are
wanted to do that when we had
dicks.
to dispatch a big
Oh,
old
no,
copperhead one time.
it's framed. The skin of the snake that I killed is
Yeah.
at my
Now
parents'
that
house.
we're
But
talking about snakes, I need to close the door again.
yeah, do that.
Like,
But
ooh.
then, okay, y'all will really respect this. And Sarah, you and I have a bond over what I thought was my fear of bugs and insects and like my not being in grass. So I've recently been also just therapy's been wonderful. I realized my empathy for innocent life forms extends to the insect world in a way that made me afraid to go into grass and to those areas. Thank you, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, for traumatizing me. But I had trauma about being barefoot or going into grass because I was so petrified that I was like crushing little civilizations. And like that is why I don't go through grass. Like they also, I don't like them, but my trauma of like not going into that was rooted in I didn't want to hurt them.
Okay, completely almost derailing comment, but like Honey, I
Yeah.
Shrunk the Kids has come up a billion times in the last week. I guess
Isn't that
I need to
weird?
watch that movie again.
Good.
I remember vividly, like there's the ant that they had to ride, and then the
Oh.
Lego they sleep in,
God. And
the giant Oreo, you know.
man, unpacking that where I'm like, oh, okay, that explains a lot.
Yeah.
Like, but
And,
still,
like-
I still don't like them. But like,
My
Yeah.
hard and fast rule is I don't go out of my way to kill bugs, but if it's in my
No.
house, it's on site. Sorry. But you broke the unspoken rule. Depending on what kind of bug it is, I'll give it like a warning to be like, you better be gone the next time I see you. Like if it's a little like
Mhm.
tiny spider or something.
like
But
you
if
need
it's like
to
a house
disappear.
centipede or a stink bug or anything, sorry, it's on site. You should have stayed outside because I'm
Don't
not
come
doing-
Don't come
Yeah.
hang out in my basement, Sarah.
I won't.
No,
I will
no.
not.
I mean, I
Yeah.
just had the door open for a solid hour, so I'm sure there's like at least
Yeah.
something flying around in here.
Yeah. So I just thought again, I'm not judging anybody because again, like I'm not perfect either. I still eat dairy products and whatnot, and like I know the cruelty that goes into that, and it is purely out of just convenience and the fact of like trying to have a life. Because if you go full vegan and try to go out to any chain restaurant or anything, it's a nightmare. It's miserable.
It's so hard.
You can't have a life. Even where I live, there are plenty of like grocery stores that have a lot of different options, but it's still not the best. And I know in other parts of the world, even America, there's no good options. But I will say there are some pretty good vegetarian meat substitutes out there that are just as good as the original.
I don't know. I'm pretty excited. There's some good vegan restaurants finally again where I live now, so I'm excited to experience that again. But yeah, those meat substitutes, there's some decent stuff out there.
There's some like
vegan
hot dog.
vegan soul food.
Yeah,
It was delicious.
I
It
know.
was good. It was good. It was
There's
good.
some like hot dog things that Adam's mom, I think, got us on food
nice.
that are really good. They're like sausages. They're really good.
Oh,
Which a sausage is already like extremely highly processed anyway. So like, girl.
okay.
So yeah, that whole thing, it just got me thinking of like, how do we decide whether the Incarans or the Gadmeer live? It kind of made me think of that whole conundrum that I faced when I was like deconstructing and watching all the sad documentaries of all the farm animals being killed and whatnot. I don't know, Wells, do you want to expand upon what you said at the beginning or leave it at that with like abortion politics? Because I think that's a very valid.
I think it's just it's the life question, and it's that like it's that moral, ethical question of like everybody out there, if you want to try to answer it for yourself, like if there's a river that's overflowing, and on one side there's a child, and on the other side there's a bucket of zygotes, and you can only save one. Which one do you save? Like that to me is very much the question of this episode, but not formed. And that is, I mean, obviously it's sci-fi, like you said. So it's asking that question without making it too politically charged. It is the same question. It's like definitely the same question in my mind. It's the same question: what constitutes life and what doesn't? and down to Lotan, down to like the question you were having about animals, everything like that. It's like what constitutes life, and then beyond that, what constitutes intelligent life.
And
Mhm.
what life is worth saving over another
Yeah.
life.
Yeah, that's all there is. I don't think it needs to be like the abortion discussion. It's just the life discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that goes to a totally different route, which like we don't need to go totally down that road. But like I've said it on the podcast already, so if y'all come along this way, like when I was 21, I had an abortion, and that was a complex situation, and it was again one of those things where everything has kind of nuance and depth to it. Nothing is that it is that tough thing where you have to look at this versus this and make those decisions. And yeah, and everyone's allowed that autonomy to make those choices in spaces. So yeah, but that would be a whole other forever long podcast.
Yeah,
but
and that's not the
definitely-
question. That's
that
the,
no, and that just to be clear. So we're like that's a separate thing. Right.
Before there are some comments that I've started.
Yeah.
Before we do that, I will point out my one factual thing about how like much of a family, like all the Stargate, and then any sort of spinoff or anything that anybody in Stargate ever did. Brian Markinson, who played Lotan, plays an absolute, if you're a Sanctuary fan, you know what I'm saying. He's an absolute asshole of a bad guy in the final season of Sanctuary. He plays this guy named Addison that's just like gunning.
Ooh, I haven't gotten there yet.
It's the very end of the show.
Baddie.
He's the final baddie. And he's like the back and forth between Addison and Magnus, Amanda's character, just like it's great.
Ooh.
But very different, completely different character from what he obviously from Lotan. So yeah. That's my one like little production thing.
Tidbit. Yeah.
I like it.
Little
It's a good
tidbit.
tidbit.
Little tidbit.
Tidbit.
Let's read some comments.
All right.
All right.
So there's a couple of grouped together things here.
Who was my star commenter? Was it Mara? Was it Scott? Who commented the most? Holly?
Yeah.
I think
can we
Mara
leave-
Mara got quite a few.
Can we leave the one that I want to talk
yep.
about to the last? Okay.
So this is all this first thing is all these first 4 comments are all from the rebrand, the original mention of rebranding. Nell said Xenon is the new oxygen. Mara then said #Sulfur for life. Holly then said Xenon is so fetch.
So fetch.
It's so fetch. Actually, okay, those were the 3. And then when we got onto the ship for the first time, Mara, it's giving minimalist life.
It was.
And then opening the drawers, handles are for the week.
For the week. Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah.
I need hold on, can we have the Xenon Xenon is so fetch? I need that as like a sticker. We need like some of that needs to be
Is that the next shirt?
I think that's
/ sticker. Xenon is so fetch.
I think so.
Holly in for the next.
Yeah.
I think Holly identified one for me, after the social hour or something the other day too. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, that's
I can't remember. Katie with the C brought up a good point about the Jack ordering Sam, and we haven't gotten to this part yet, so we obviously won't talk about it a lot, but it's kind of what happened with Fifth in that whole situation as well. So
that had way worse implications than consequences, though.
Scott brought when we were talking about just waiting for the next episode, Scott said the shipper bomb is counting down to explosion. That is true.
Can't wait to be insufferable.
Oh, next episode, I will be completely insufferable.
She got the haircut and the chip.
I have all of my. Oh yeah, Sam finally gets the haircut. Thank you, but also, yeah, I think a lot of things happened off screen in that episode, so like I'll just leave it at that. Mara with a very nice comment of, see, this is why I enjoy these episode recaps, as there's so much subcontext or subtext that I miss. #forever going over my head. Sometimes it takes, like, there are things that I mentioned during this episode that I'd watched the episode, I'd read the notes, and then I still was like, oh, Yeah. So it does. It kind of takes, you know, more and more. So Sin 526, I don't know who this is, but this is one of my favorite episodes of SG-1 ever. I think it is a very solid episode.
Yeah.
It
There's
is. It's one
not-
I forget about, but yeah.
Yeah, there's no like meta plot going on. It's just that, you know, self-contained, solid episode.
Mhm.
And then Holly and Mara in at the end with the fries getting deep in the thoughts tonight. And
Oh.
then Mara said, deep fried thoughts.
Yes.
Yeah, so some great hash.
Yeah.
Holly did mention I'm here for the insufferable shipper vibes.
Good.
And
Yeah,
Mara,
get it.
hashtag Wells takes over. Just wait. It's going
Uh-huh.
to
I'm just gonna sit back.
you're
and
gonna
relax.
regret it, probably. I'm just gonna be.
Are we
Mhm.
gonna
I'm
have
gonna
to
be honest.
clip that episode? Are
We
we
might
gonna
have to
need-
pull-
Yeah.
There are a couple of scenes that I will clip for sure.
Yeah.
One in particular.
You know it's serious if we're doing clips. That's real fucking serious,
You
man.
know it's ship serious if we're doing clips. I feel like
we're
that's why
not
we
doing
always do clip.
dialogue. We're not reading that shit.
Yeah.
Nope.
You deserve
Yeah.
better.
I might actually pull some clips from a Star Trek Voyager 2-parter that also feels like this episode, and they came out within 6 months of each other. Just
That'd be
saying.
good to talk
I
about.
might pull some clips from that too. Yeah.
I'd like to see the parallels.
Yeah.
I'd like
Yeah.
to see it.
And then I have the one comment you wanted me to.
Yeah. So
save.
speaking of going scorched earth, I won't go full scorched earth, but this actually we're very lucky that this doesn't happen to us quite a bit. But thank you,
You-
Scott, for letting me know that this person got removed from the comment. But I do want to address this. So Gregory Hust. These young ladies are cute. For those who are new or been around, I particularly, and I know we all are, but I don't ignore this shit because that's how it doesn't get handled. So that is, there's a lot here, and I'm going to break it down in a moment. First of all, we're not all ladies here, first and foremost. So I want
ladies
to,
and ladies, okay?
Yes.
Hold on. Let me okay.
We are patriots and patriots.
Yes. So first and foremost, getting that out of the way.
I would like to not have to start throwing pronouns in bio in our little things,
Yes.
but if we have to, we can. I don't want to assume anybody, is being mean-spirited in saying that.
Correct.
But just so you know.
Just so you know. And so I'm going to let that part not be the part that I break apart.
Right.
But these young ladies are
We all I'm not young.
okay. So Gregory.
33-year-old
Gregory.
cat lady here.
Gregory. So your assumption of putting yourself in a position of authority over us is unacceptable. And anyone who would do such, because whether we are younger than you or older than you or same age as you, it is only ever called out someone's age of younger when someone else is trying to be in a position of authority over them. And that doesn't fly. So
it's like
if you are
there's
listening
like
to us,
I think 2 people, maybe 3 people in the world that are allowed to call me kiddo,
Yeah.
like the same
Yeah.
vibe. It's the same vibe.
Yeah. So we're gonna just address this right now. Don't say young to anybody ever. If you truly respect them and have value for them. And also
Spoiler alert, I don't think he does.
and cute. First of all,
Call me hot,
That-
not pretty. I'm just kidding.
Again, cute is predatory language. So young and cute. So you want to call out and compliment someone you perceive to be younger and cuter than you. So that, in my mind, immediately puts you in a position of pedophilic or predatory. And that's not okay. So Gregory Hust is your YouTube name. You have made it public. I'm making it, what's the word? Publicer, or it's here.
Publicer.
Publicer, thank you. What's his TikTok? Tea time. What's his name?
I mean,
Ginger
I'm a
tea.
they them. I know nothing of grammar. We talked about that in the non-binary thing at the
Yeah.
companion. I know nothing of grammar.
Everyone
Don't worry
becomes
about
the
it.
fucking grammar police when
Yeah. So that shit's not okay here. Like, there are other ways to give genuine compliments, and there are other ways to genuinely like give a shit and make people feel valued. But you're only getting from this comment was you wanted to get your rocks off by being like, hoo, these people are cute. And like that, don't fucking do that shit. And I bet you
I
go
think
into
it
other
was an
streamers.
attention grab. It was an attention
Oh,
grab. for
100%.
sure.
And
There were
now
other
we're getting-
comments. There were other comments further up too. from-
I'm gonna take
like
a look.
not this level, but it felt like there was.
Oh,
some
the I'm
attention.
here, all that.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So, Gregory, we saw you. You suck. Go kick rocks and have a fucking nice life. But you're not welcome here. Okay, that's it. We can be done now. Can we close the iris?
I'm just offended that he called us cute and didn't point out our sparkling personalities or our hilarious jokes. What the fuck?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah. So anyway, so that's just like for anyone out
we've
there.
been
Like, we
spitting
love.
truths for an hour and a half now. Like we're going deep, and
We
you're
got a
like,
lot of
"This
mileage
is-"
out of that rebrand joke, and that
I
was what
know,
you
come
commented.
on.
Shit,
What the
come
fuck?
on. Like, do
I
better.
almost
like,
literally, you almost got me with the spit take this time, Sarah. Almost. It was so close. It was
Wait,
so
what?
close.
What do
I
you mean?
almost spit.
Yeah.
Oh.
You said something about the rebrand
Oh.
right when I was taking a sip of my crispy CZ. And
You know
thank you,
what?
Scott. Thank you, Scott. We did.
You know what?
just-
Our next
tried to
stream, I'm just gonna be super cute and dolled up. I'm just kidding. I will not. I will be. I don't give a shit.
I mean,
I
thanks
don't give a
for
shit.
if you think that we're actually young. Appreciate it, I guess. But
Yeah, but I understand what you actually meant by that. You were just trying to put yourself in a position of power and attention grab. And like I said, go kick rocks and suck a dick and
I
get
gotta
it up the
say,
ass.
we made it pretty far without like is this the first time this kind of comment has
Yeah.
come up?
Yeah. And we have all the commentary and fun and all the lightheartedness. I have a raunchy mind. That's it. Like it's just know where to stop
Yeah.
it. We're here to talk space puddles. No time for infantilization and shows of dominance. Exact. Thank you so much, Nell.
Yep.
We do not have
Yep.
time for that.
we don't have
So-
time for it.
Nope.
It is going to likely happen more often as if more
Totally.
people subscribe to our channel. But that's why maybe we assign a couple of more, moderators in the chat
Yes.
too.
So
keep an
thank
eye on
you.
things
Thank you,
for us.
Scott, for that.
Yeah.
Sorry, John, we didn't give you the memo. My apologies. Our apologies. Our deepest apologies. That means you have not turned on notifications for when we are going live. So
Ooh.
Fake
that is
fan.
Is
on
this
you.
is this the first time we ever go? Make sure you hit that subscribe bell.
Hit
for
that subscribe
notifications."
button.
Wah, 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 wah. Like
But yeah.
God.
So for those who thought about calling us cute, don't fucking do it. I'm just kidding. You can.
Yeah, call us
but-
hot.
Oh God.
that works for any gender.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cute
Yeah,
is what
just
you call
don't-
bunnies and shit. Like
Yeah, don't it's and I want to be super clear. It is the show of dominance and the I can't say the word, but infantilization.
Infantilization.
Thank you. That is the problem. That is where these issues arise from. So just correct your shit and like try again.
Yeah, I'll leave you on this disgusting note. I've seen these videos of like waitresses, like female AFAB servers, changing their
Mhm.
hairstyles and seeing how much their tips improve. And when they were like pigtails with bows and shit, like really little girl hairstyles, they get way more tips from these nasty ass old fuckers.
That's so gross.
Yeah.
Yep, nope.
So I mean, if you
Yep.
want to make money, make misogyny work for you, ladies. But just
Exactly.
no.
Wear those pigtails. I'm like, man, I should have been wearing my
Make
pigtails today.
misogyny profitable again. Like
It's not
Oh, wow.
what you can do for misogyny. It's what misogyny can
We
do for you. Is that
I
our
love
closing the iris?
I think
think that
I
is.
think that's it.
do we
All
say
right.
it again?
Yeah.
Say it again, yeah.
Ladies, it's not what misogyny can do for you. Wait, did I say it wrong?
No, it's no,
what-
yeah, you did. It's not
Okay.
what you can do for misogyny. It's what misogyny can do, for you. Close the iris.